Spinning wheel, trying to go live. And we're live. Let's
Hey,
go. What's going on? You're outside.
I'm outside.
I wonder if people can
Enjoy
look
this.
behind you. If you're in Killeen and you know, or you're in Austin, where are you right now?
Right
Killeen.
now, I'm in Leander.
If you're in Leander and you can pick out where Soul is, listen, if you could pick out where Soul is and you could find her before, before you before we get off this live, we're going to give you or your spouse a free Father's Day gift. If you could find her,
Ooh.
if you could look behind her and see where she is.
I
What's
can
going
give
on,
you a
girl? How
hint.
you been?
Starbucks. We've been good. We've been good. Prepping for our Father's Day giveaway.
Yeah,
Um, Folks need several nudges, honestly. A text, a call, a DM, all the things to sign up for something, a free giveaway.
it's free.
So,
It's
free
free.
giveaway. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And before I forget, special happy Father's Day to Juan, your wonderful husband. First Father's Day. So shout out to him.
Thank
Um, and uh, and he's doing a great job. 10 months into this,
you.
uh, he has,
Honestly, every the sentence that you said was, it doesn't get easier, it gets change, it just changes.
it gets different. It just,
He lives by that. He's like, Major said. I'm like, okay, babe, now we're gonna go with Major said. You're like a household name in our house for sure. Seriously, he's like, Major
it,
said, so I'm not, no expectations. I'm like, okay.
yeah, it gets different. My son came in on this past week, and then he flew to California to see his biological mom, and then he's going to be back on Sunday.
Oh,
So he's 23, and then we have our daughter who we just adopted at 15, and then we have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. So it's always different. Father's Day is interesting because it's always different phases.
no, I mean, happy Father's Day to you. Like, you've been like the father of the year. Like, seriously, you've been evolving, really trying to put time aside for your family, like year in and year out. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's been a different phase of them. Just they traveled with me a lot this year because we've been
Oh,
moving around and going in different places. But we're going to have a drawing at the end of this
yes.
to give somebody a great Father's Day gift. But let's get into the market. What's things like in your area? So,
Yeah, honestly, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about just the stats, just to kind
mhm.
of brush up on that, and then I'll talk about the experience. So, based on the T-board stats, it's 99.6% more listings on the market as of May than last year, right? Overall, it's looking like it takes about an average of 80 days overall in the clean market to, once you go on the market, to get a contract to close, an average of 80 days. Don't get super discouraged, honestly, on the, like, when it comes to hyper local market, like subdivision, things like that. That can change, right? I just did a CMA the other day, and it's like, hey, 25 days is looking like 45 days for your subdivision. But I always like to give that perspective because, just condition, location, and pricing of homes change, or are just different across the board. So it may not be the same thing for everyone, right? And then when it comes to medium sale price, it's up 6.1% compared to last year, which is the topic of conversation across the board, nationwide and hyper local, because oftentimes people say, well, high interest rates, that means the market is gonna just keep tumbling down and things like that. Although we have seen some slight, decreases among different cities and in Texas and things like that, overall we are seeing just a gradual increase. So it just give you perspective. The market as of this moment has not tumbled down the way people think. And honestly, when it comes to just like that gray area where you hit the dip before coming back up, we already passed that period. So waiting for that period, you already lost the opportunity. So when it comes to like hyper local experience right now, it's interesting. Buyers are able to negotiate closing costs. I'm able to have conversation with listing agents even before going on the contract and really say, okay, what can work for my client? Could it work for yours? Right? So we don't waste no one's time, no one's money. And buyers are really sitting on the fence. Honestly, they have that luxury. And then we have opportunities or experiences where the listing is that beautiful, it's priced so well that it's like it's gone on the market after 2 days. So I wouldn't say it's a buyer's market, I wouldn't say the seller's market. it really all depends, and it's really about, like, my advice is like, have your game face on, have your strategies in place, have your pricing talked about with the lender. It's super important, so once we see the house, we know where we're going. um, Otherwise we're gonna either sit in the market because we can't find one that suits your needs, or we're gonna be outbid.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when people talking about an equilibrium or a balanced market. That's pretty much, depending on the area, that's pretty much where we are in many cases. There are some
Yeah.
cases like, in your area. I mean, you might see maybe one or two offers, and it's interesting because in your area, it's like, hey, I'm thinking about submitting an offer, and then the listing agent's like, well, somebody else thinking about submitting an offer too. Might want to get yours in first. And then, if it's like, in some of these areas like DFW or DFW area, Plano, Frisco area, where I am, it's like, hey, I'm thinking about submitting an offer. Well, sorry, I just got three in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it is this balanced market of things, and everybody's sitting around like, oh, there has to be some correction coming. I'm like, based on what? The correction is here and it's already happened. There's still people that want to buy houses even at the 6% interest rate range, and generally that's generally where rates are. Okay,
Yeah.
teetering out in the mid sixes. And if I have even brought up my chart to show you, how things are going or where the bond market is moving, it's really compressed in a certain area where you have this lateral movement, and that means that interest rates are kind of stable. Okay, you're not seeing the great fluctuations that you saw last year with every single report, bond market going up crazy, a bond market going down crazy, and it's affecting interest rates. You're kind of seeing things kind of like, hey, tell me something, because it's kind of stable, right now in the market. So if you want to buy a house, probably now is the best time to do it. And it's just going to be a factor of, where you're looking, how, the effectiveness of your realtor. Now, so you didn't capture what areas you cover.
Mhm.
What areas do you cover? When should people be reaching out to you?
Right. So I cover the, like, from Troy, which is north, to Temple, all the way down to Lampasas, which encompasses Killeen, Harker Heights, Belton. And then now that I moved to Liberty Hill, I cover the Austin area, right? Leander, Cedar Park, Round Rock, all that good stuff. Huddle, things like that. And like I said, the dip already occurred in this area, in the Austin area. So it's just now about just coming back up. And Killeen is, it's getting very competitive. Gerald, it's building up. I went down to Kyle the other day. Got a client on the contract down there, which is South Austin, right the borderline of San Marcos. So the market is people are coming in and they have to buy. Like you said, they woke up and they said, okay, interest rates are high, but I need to get in because obviously it's seasonality right now and people are moving.
Now, we didn't put this down to talk about, but you have a beautiful listing.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, man, if you are in the market for a luxury listing that is unique, large land, it's amazing. So tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that listing.
Yeah, so it's in by FM 580, which is a major highway. It's in Land Passes. Is about short of 65 acres. It has a pond. It has a saltwater pool. It has a fireplace. It has a dedicated patio that you can literally see all of Land Passes. And then you have the opportunity to also build more ponds if you wanted to on the land, and really make like a short-term Airbnb style cottage feel on the land while you're still living in your barnuminium, and which is 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, loft, all open space. If you're a car person, workshop, all the things. So very luxury, beautiful sellers. They're really nice and just humble. So I'm really excited to get that one on the contract.
Now, how many acres totally is the land?
It's about 64.97.
64 acres.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. And what's the price point on that property?
1.75.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations to you. So, So has it shared on her social media, so you can go look at more information, more pictures. I'm going to share it on my social media later on today. It's just a beautiful, beautiful property. Now, let's get into a couple of quick things. So, before we do this drawing, for Father's Day, two things I wanted to talk about. Let's get the easy one out of the way first. 0% down conventional. Okay.
which is
This rolled
crazy.
out the middle of May, and we always get this. We have, of course, we help a lot of veterans, which is going to be leading to our next topic. But we help a lot of veterans, and we always have, people who are, I mean, to a certain degree, so jealous because you have veterans that are buying houses at 0% down. They're like, man, if I would have just joined the military, I could have just had a VA loan at 0% down. Well, you can't make that excuse anymore. Okay, we got 0% down on conventional loans. If you're a first-time home buyer, minimum credit score of 700, you can actually be moving out of your house into another home and still use the 0% down conventional program. So this is great because this is not like a state DPA program where you're always going to have a higher interest rate on those state DPA programs, where you're always going to have certain things where you're going to be like holding, they're going to limit you on your ability to refinance. This is a typical conventional loan where you can refinance if you want to refinance in 6 months or whatever. Rates drop, you can refinance. You can subordinate that loan and keep it as a second lien. The second lien is up to $15,000. So if you're making a purchase price up to $500,000, your entire down payment is covered. And so you and I still have connections to Hawaii. I got a family who's doing this in Hawaii. They're buying their house at $900,000. Okay, that minimum down payment, their first-time home buyers, is $27,000. But they're using the DPA from the lender, okay, to reduce their down payment. So they're only paying $13,000, using the $15,000 as a second lien on the house, and then they're using the $15,000 to pay their closing costs. So their $15,000 pay the closing costs. So it's moving the money around, doing a little bit, being a little creative. But this is a great tool if there's someone out there who says, I can save up money for the down payment, but I can't save up money for the closing costs. Pay your closing costs. We'll take care of the down payment. So this is a great tool. More information about this on my YouTube channel, where you can go get some information about that. But that's a great tool.
Yeah, I love that. And it makes people competitive, because obviously Hawaii is still a competitive market because it's limited on land and all the things. So if you don't want to ask for closing costs from a seller, like, hey lender, let's figure this out, and you were able to do that, which is magnificent. Like, honestly, just moving money around. I call you my financial advisor without being a financial advisor, because you do so well at just maneuvering and just move it here, so it makes sense.
Yeah, when you talk about competition, okay, this is essential because honestly, this is just a conventional loan.
Mm-hmm.
The realtor, this happens all the time. If you submit an offer and you say, hey, this person's using a DPA program, I mean, you're like, okay, I mean, is that going to get through escrow? Is that going to, okay? This is just a conventional loan. So it's a conventional loan, first time home buyer, 3% down, or even 5% down. You don't even have to say that it's a down payment assistance program, although the buyer is getting a second lien, because they're qualifying based on conventional loan standards. So, it's not something that's going to make it more challenging for someone to get accepted. Now, with the other part of being competitive, let's talk about the news that came out for veterans. Okay. Now, some people have some different perspectives about this. It's like, hey, this is terrible for veterans and all of this stuff. And we talked about this on our last live because I had just come from interviewing the VA, Terry Roush, who's second in command at the VA. I had just come back from DC on our last live, and we knew this was coming. Okay. So, we kind of delayed to put this out until we know, okay, how this is going to play out. This is temporary guidance in place. Okay. But this is good. And realtors have called me like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they're doing this to veterans. My perspective is this is good for the veteran home buyer. And here's why. So let's talk about what the VA said. The VA said that that the veteran can pay the realtor commissions. Okay.
Right.
Let's simplify stuff. No if, then, all that stuff. The veteran can pay the realtor commissions. This is effective August 10th. Okay. So realtor, if you go under contract tomorrow and you got a 30-day close, this does not apply to that transaction. Okay. This is effective on closings after August 10th. Okay.
Got it.
I'll talk about this from a competition standpoint. So, because let's say somebody's buying a house in a highly competitive area.
Mm,
Okay. And let's say I'm the seller of that house, and I know that I got to pay, if I accept the VA offer, I'm going to pay the buyer and the seller commissions, okay,
right.
or the realtor commissions. I'm on both sides. If I have to pay both of those, that does play into which offer I accept, honestly, okay, because it's going to be, especially if I know the conventional buyer can pay their realtor and the
Mm,
VA buyer cannot. It is the intent of the VA to make the VA loan the most powerful and the most flexible program that there is available. And it is, okay? From a qualification standpoint, it is much easier to qualify somebody on VA than it is on a conventional loan or something like that. So, um, the VA has this intent of keeping this really competitive. So the VA said the veteran can pay. So this is good for realtors, okay, right? This is good for veterans, and it's good for home sellers because the guidelines specifically say that the VA circular specifically says that there's nothing that precludes the the seller from paying both sides.
right.
Okay, it just makes it available. Now, if you're a realtor out there, here's some things you need to know. Okay, if you have a buyer's rep agreement, okay,
Mm,
that needs to be solidified with that buyer having a buyer's rep agreement saying what your commissions is. And I know, so you and your brokers and all the realtor brokers have been modifying their buyer's rep agreements and stuff
mm,
to put them, for what we are, what this transition was coming. So that's in place. But if you have a buyer's rep agreement, this is important. Your buyer's rep agreement must be um, your buyer's rep agreement must be submitted along with the purchase contract. Okay, the buyer's rep agreement is considered part of the purchase contract if you have a buyer's rep agreement. All right.
well,
So
and honestly, we're now told we can't even show a home without a buyer's rep agreement.
yeah. So, if you're a veteran, you're buying a house and somebody starts having a conversation about a buyer's rep agreement, this should not be
Mm,
foreign.
right. It's
Okay.
part of the presentation.
If I go to get my car fixed, okay, I mean, the mechanic says, hey, we have a diagnostic fee. It's an upfront fee. You got to pay it regardless. It's always becomes interesting how people start getting really touchy when it comes to real. I mean, people expect realtors to work for free. Okay.
Right.
Now I will tell you that there are some times when lenders work for free because we do a lot of work and sometimes don't close that deal because people go to a different lender or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, this is something. So if you're having a conversation with a realtor and you're a veteran, you should expect them to have a buyer's rep agreement.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't just drive around in, across town, showing you 18 houses because you happen to be in town without a buyer's rep agreement. Okay.
Right.
If you haven't come to a point where you can commit to working with that realtor, interview other realtors,
Right.
ask more questions until you're comfortable saying, I want to work with this person to help me find a home. That's just the simplicity
Mm-hmm.
of this process. So but this is good, okay, for everyone involved because it makes this process a lot more flexible for the veteran.
Right. And if I may add, this lawsuit, however it ends up, nothing really changed, right? The seller was always able to negotiate, seller concessions or commission, right? It was good practice to cover both sides. Of course, this came up, so now sellers are like, you know what, I want to exercise my options, which is great. Exercise your options, right? The buyer's rep agreement has always been there, stating that, hey, if you've read it, right, I'm willing to cover my agent's commission if the seller doesn't, right? At this percent. Now we have to stay percentage or dollar amount. We can't leave it blank. We can't say zero, right? So it's just like solidifying what has already been there. And then, like you mentioned, the buyer's rep agreement. A lot of buyers, customers will say, I want to work with you, but I just want to kind of feel you out first and maybe see some homes. That game is no longer being played because, like you said, people take us for granted. We do a lot, both of us, lenders and realtors behind the scenes that they don't get to see. And now is our time to shine and not our time to showcase what we do, right?
Yeah.
And even when a buyer signs a buyer rep agreement, we have solidified relationship, they decide, I don't want to do this anymore. And then all of a sudden, hey, so it's like with the doctor, you go in and they run your insurance, right? They get paid regardless. You're going to come into your appointment or not. With us, the buyer's rep agreement, it's technically what we can exercise to kind of get that same experience. But oftentimes we say, you know what, it's okay, never mind. We obviously we feel for the family, things like that. But we are a service-based profession, and we also have to make a living. So it's just kind of solidifying just everything that's on the table, and not trying to take anyone for granted or anything like that. And like you said, the VA is so flexible. It's zero down. Like it's just mind blowing, right? I have 3 properties under my husband and I VA, no down payment. It was insane. Like, right, we're talking about investing, like you mentioned yesterday, into a business potentially in the future using that equity. Like this, the VA is very powerful. Why wouldn't you want your VA buyers to have the same, tools in their bag to compete in this market if they have it, right? So let me ask you this. Has it been conversation, or do you know of, if a VA buyer cannot pay for their commission, can they add it to the loan?
No.
Okay.
That is not able to be done right now. It cannot be financed in. Now, are there other creative ways to finance it in? Yes. Hey, I'm gonna go $10,000 over on the offer. Seller, you pay the realtor commissions. Of course, the home has to appraise at that value. Are there ways to do that where the seller pays it because you're paying a higher purchase price? Yes, there are ways to do that between working with your lender, working with the 2 realtors, and everything, and trying to massage this. Of course, you got to have an appraised value that covers that higher amount. Okay, so you can do that. But can the buyer say, hey, I'm going to refinance this, or I'm going to finance this into the loan? No, can't do
No.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just thinking outside the box to see,
Yeah.
because a lot of buyers gonna say, well, I can't afford that. Then what? And of course, as a realtors, we'll disclose what properties will pay commission. But just so you know, come, I believe it was August 12th, around that timeline, the MLS is going to remove that feature from realtors to see what commission is going to be paid. So it's going to be up to us to call and just kind of do that due diligence. So, like I said, nothing really has changed. Just some things are just going to be cleaned up, and then we'll just see from there. Honestly,
Yeah, honestly, I think the thing that's going to come into play a lot, if you have a veteran that can't pay the realtor commissions, those people are probably going to go to new builds, which is good
yeah,
for the veteran, I mean, but it's a solution to a problem because except unless you go to one of these new builds that don't pay the freaking realtors,
yeah. But so
we
far,
won't
so good.
we
Yeah,
won't blast those builders. But no, that's it's going to be a lot of maneuvering, and honestly, the realtor is going to be required to be more flexible and figuring out be more of a problem solver.
yeah.
All right, so let's do our drawing. So we had a drawing where you can enter a drawing. All you had to do was schedule a consultation, a buyer's consultation, and you got entered into a drawing. And what's going to happen is Sol and I are going to do the drawing right now, and we are paying for a Father's Day gift. You didn't have to buy a house. You don't have to buy a house. You just were doing a consultation with us to talk about your options about buying a house. So
All
over to
right.
you.
And just so you guys know, whoever wins, we'll reach out to them, get their address, and then we'll ship the grill to them. So yeah, and then stay tuned for the next, giveaway. So I got everyone's name. Let me see right here, so you guys can see I'm not cheating. And all right, we have 13 entries. All right, so tap to spin. Dun, 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 dun. Woo! Brandon Worley.
Brandon, Brandon,
Yay!
Brandon.
Woo!
Brandon
Oh,
he's
that's
gonna get a grill.
awesome.
Man, didn't Brandon just closed what, last month?
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations,
Yay! Let me
Brandon.
text him. Oh my God. That's
Excited for you,
awesome.
man. Brandon closed last month. He moved from Brandon moved from where
Washington.
was he? Washington State and
Yep.
moved down.
Yay, he's
Uh,
gonna be so
yeah,
happy.
Brandon. My God, Brandon. That was a fun one.
Woo!
That was a fun transaction.
That
Brandon
was
won
a
it.
fun
Hey, excited for him, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh my
All
god.
right, so we are at 25 minutes.
Yeah, he
Um,
said no way. Yeah, that's so good. I'm so happy
awesome
for him.
stuff. Awesome stuff, Brandon. So we're at 25 minutes. So any closing thoughts?
I wanted to just, kind of just close off what you said about new builds. As sellers have options to, sorry, as sellers have options to pay closing costs or not pay closing costs. A lot of builders are paying closing costs and also maybe right doing bonuses and things like that. So just keep that in mind. You want to save money here, you may shorten the audience and the pool of people, and they may go to new builds because they're paying down 2-1 buy downs, closing costs, obviously agents commission, and then also paying down on price. So keeping all options open. Just want to say that.
Yeah, and that I'm telling you, the 0% down, the down payment assistance programs we have available, so is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing because we've actually had buyers go into new builds and pay like $0 out of pocket because they're getting down payment assistance on one hand and they're also getting closing costs paid on the other hand. And these builders still need to move these homes. And we also have great relationship with builder reps, and they're working with us to say, hey, I got this buyer. This is how we need to structure this. What can you do? It's an amazing opportunity right now. And if you're not getting into a home, really, it's either, honestly, we have so many ways to get you into a home. It's either A, you don't qualify, or B, you don't want to. So
That's
because if you want to and you qualify, we could find a solution for you.
seriously. Yeah. No, I appreciate you, Major. Like I said, happy Father's Day. Like I call you
Thank you.
Mr. President Singleton now, but I'm super proud of you. You're amazing father, amazing husband, amazing partner. So thank you for. I'm just so grateful to have you in my life.
Oh, thank you so very much. So really appreciate it. And again, happy Father's Day to Juan. First of many. First Father's Day. Really happy for him.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty. Bye,
All right, bye
guys.
bye.